Hey guys, welcome to Redneck Off the Range. Today I'm just going to do a quick review of this Sign Pro kit, which is made by a company called Milescraft. And basically it's just a kit that comes with a bunch of little template things, stencils, to use with a router and make signs. So I actually bought this to make some signs for my girlfriend's horse stalls for their nameplates. So what I'll be doing is I'll be taking this red oak 1x6 boards and I'll be making their names. So this kit's pretty cool. What it comes with is you'll have this little tracking system. So you have two ends and then you have these little pieces here, which I believe are 18 inches long, and there's 4 of them, so you can double them up and make a sign 36 inches long, which I will have to do at some point. And you get, there are 3 different kits. Some of them you'll get the large 2.5 inch letters. Some you'll get the smaller 1.5 inch letters. It actually says right here the 2 different size letters, and that's the horizontal letters. And I got the kit that came with everything. So what you get is you'll get 2 sets of the larger letters, 2 sets of the smaller letters. It also comes with numbers and quotations and periods and things like that. And it also comes with a vertical set of numbers, actually 2 different size sets of numbers, which is good for like putting addresses on mailboxes and stuff like that. So as you can see in here, it's kind of a clutter because I've been using it. So here's your vertical numbers, you got your 1.5 inch letters and numbers, and I got just kind of a hodgepodge of letters and numbers in here. This is how you connect the 2 pieces of track, and here's the other 2 pieces here for longer words and names. It'll come with 2 different size bits, and it also has these little bushings to prevent the bits from actually cutting the letters. So it'll come with a 1/4 inch bit and a 3/8 inch bit. So it'll also come with 2 C-clamps for actually securing the track to the boards. You could also use these little holes and screw them to the board if that doesn't really matter to you. I suggest using the clamps, and if you have longer signs and you need to double up, I would suggest getting 1 or 2 other clamps so that you can be a lot more secure. And obviously you'll have to move the clamps as when you move down the line. And then it'll come with a base for your router. So this is just a universal base. I'm sure it works better for some routers than others. I have this Makita 18 volt router, and it's in a plunge base, and you just take these screws, there's screws on the base, the plunge base, and you just take them out and then you put them in, and then here's your little bushing. It's hard to take out with one hand, but there is the larger of the 2. I'll get this thing to focus better. There's the larger of the 2 bits that I already have in there, and that's what I've been using, and that's what I will use. So I have quite a few test boards here. You're definitely going to want to test out the kit before you actually go and use it on something real. I found that the letter N is very, very tricky. And then here is well, that's an attempt to do an N, which I failed at, and this was an attempt to try the big and the small letters. I didn't really like the way that looked. But some letters are easier than others. As you can see, the N is pretty tricky. And let me explain to you why that is, and why, if you need to use the N, why you should practice. So the bushings are a little bit larger, or actually a little bit smaller than the actual letters. So you're going to have to like push on one side when you're going around the letters and numbers. So when you go up and then you come down on the diagonal, if you keep pressing on one side, you'll go this way, or if you try to just do the bottom, you'll catch it and you might miss. So what you have to do is you have to press on the top, get about halfway down, and then shift to the bottom. It a lot of times will make it a little weird looking, but if you practice enough, you can get it to look fairly decent. That's the hardest letter that I've come across. Now, I haven't used every single letter, so I can't really speak for every single letter, but some are just trickier than others. N is definitely a tricky one. A can be tricky. I's and S's, they're not too bad. H's aren't too bad. M's not too bad. I'm trying to think. I got a whole bunch of just random signs that I tried. R's can be tricky sometimes. The B's kind of look weird. That's just how it's going to be. It looks weird because the line doesn't go all the way through like you're used to, but it's not too bad. It kind of grows on you after a while. And then, let's see here. This is what an apostrophe looks like. Now, this kit's kind of weird. It doesn't give you all the punctuations that you need. So on the big letters, it gives you quotation marks. So you don't get just a single apostrophe. You get quotation marks, and then you got to figure out how you're going to use it as an apostrophe. You do get a period for both the 2.5 and 1.5 letters. On the 1.5, I think you get a dash and an apostrophe with that, and then on the 2.5, I think you just get quotes and a period. I don't think you get anything else. And if you need other quote or other punctuation marks, well, you're just gonna have to figure it out or something, because I've not found any other punctuation tiles from Milescraft. Anyway, I'm going to cut a piece of this red oak board, and we're gonna just do a quick test board. I have to cut it down anyway because the sign I have to make is going to be 26 inches long. So you can't, you can use an 8-foot board and get 3 signs, but you can't get a 4th sign unless you get a board at least 4 foot long, because it only comes in 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And I'm not gonna try and get a 10 and do that. So I got a 4-foot board here, and I'm gonna get an 8-foot board. So this is gonna be my test board. I'm gonna cut this down to 26 inches, and what's left over is going to be my test board. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so I got the red oak board cut down to size, and this is the scrap piece that we're going to practice with. So one of the horse's names is Nash, so that's the name I'm going to practice with because it's short and it has an N in it, so it's just N-A-S-H, and a couple filler tiles to get it all spaced out properly. Now if you want a good video on how to actually set everything up for the Milescraft Sign Pro, I suggest going over to Home Depot, or even I think Milescraft's website actually has a video on how to do that, and they do a much better job than I could ever do. This is just kind of a review on what I think of the product. So I don't have any experience cutting hardwood with a router, so this is just a test board for that, so I can see exactly what to expect. And basically, you're just going to Once you have it all set to the specs that you want, you can play with the depth, both with the bit itself and with the plunge base that you have, depending on what router you have and what base you have. So you just set it all up, and then the little bushing goes right into the letters, and then you just turn your router on and get going. Alright guys, and that's what I came up with. I did mess up a little bit on the N, but not too bad. I was able to fix it and make it look not terrible. Some other, I guess it's really not all that bad. Wasn't that much harder to cut than pine. It does have a little bit more resistance, but it's not like extremely difficult or anything. And you might have a little, some dark spots in there from just the bit itself, but we're going to paint these black anyway, so that's not going to be a problem, and I'm obviously going to stain the whole sign. I think I'm definitely going to have to ask her about if she wants all the signs to be the same length, because some horse names are pretty long and some are really short. So Nash is obviously a really short name, and if you put Nash on a 26-inch sign, which this is a 22-inch, I believe, if I did my math right, so it'll be a longer board than this, and then Nash would just be centered in the board, whereas like Mr. Peabody, which is the longest name I have to put on one of these, would fill the board. So I don't know, we'll have to ask her about that, but that is the Milescraft Sign Pro. Just a short demonstration and review. Obviously, it works pretty good. You have to get used to it and practice with it before you do your actual projects, but it is a nice little kit. It was like, I don't know, $70, $75 for everything that I showed you. And you can also get additional packs of letters and numbers if you need more. So I think it's a pretty cool kit. Nice little do-it-yourself project starter. So yeah, so I definitely recommend it if you're looking at making a sign for your room or your barn or your house or whatever, or maybe you want to make your own little address sign for the mailbox or something. I think this is definitely a good kit to have for any of those projects. So that was Redneck Off the Range. Subscribe to my channel, and until next time, be safe.